Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a few doorway stretches. Doorways are everywhere and they're so fantastic to use because they offer a little something extra to your stretch routine. We're going to go through a few upper body exercises or stretches today to make wonderful use of the doorways around you. We'll start off today by staggering your stance, having 1 foot ahead, 1 foot behind. Feet are still hip width apart, even though they're staggered. We're not in a straight line here. Feet are apart so that we can choose how much pressure we want to put into our shoulders as we do our first exercise. We'll start off with elbows about 90 degrees, arms coming straight out to the sides in this goalpost arms position. Place forearms on the doorway here and lean in. This is going to feel really fantastic for some of you. And then for some other people, it might feel like a little bit much. You might feel it being too stretchy, or you might notice that your body evades the stretch by having your shoulders raise up. If that happens, back out of the stretch a little bit, drop the shoulders and come in really slowly, finding that point that you're able to maintain those shoulders staying down. If they still want to sneak up just because they love coming up under your ears, that happens. What you can do to combat that is actually every time you take a breath, on the exhale, drop your shoulders again. So inhale, exhale, and drop your shoulders, thinking about dropping them just a little bit further each time. Wonderful. Let's hang out here for one more breath. And we'll come on out of it. We're actually just going to focus on one side right now. So I'll have my right arm stay on the door frame, left arm, I'm going to think about this shoulder, pulling it back, and then leaning into the stretch. If you want to play with angles, you can lean in, you could lean away. Whatever you do, though, keep dropping that shoulder and keep breathing. Fantastic. We're going to stay on this side and keep doing things with the right arm. If your arm feels a little bit stretched out at this point, feel free to take a little shake out, do a few shoulder rolls, and you could always put them in at any time. You don't have to stay exactly with us. You could put them in between exercises or just take a break during exercises. This is genuinely for you, so do what feels good. Arm up. So I'm going to have my hand up very high on the door frame for this, as high as is comfortable. And then I'm going to pay attention to my armpit. So I'm taking my armpit and I'm not aiming it towards the door frame. I'm actually spiraling my arm so that the armpit faces forward towards you and towards the imaginary wall in front of me. And then I'm going to lean into the stretch. Come in slowly. So on the first breath, you only go 75, 80% into your maximum. And then each breath come in a little bit further, very slowly. If you end up deciding that it's more comfortable and enjoyable for you, you could play with the angles so that you're closer to the door frame here. Maybe you drop your shoulder a little bit further away from the ear now. Just be mindful of your body. Find the big, juicy stretches that feel fantastic and lean into them, both physically and metaphorically. All right, we're going to come out now. Again, taking that shoulder roll if it feels good. But now I'm setting up the next stretch by having my hand lower on the door frame, as low as is comfortable for my hand and my shoulder and my whole upper body here. And I'm just going to lean into this stretch, thinking about having a nice open chest. And if I want to, I can even lean away a little bit, turning my body to change the angle of the stretch. Maybe you bend your knees, maybe you move the placement of your hand on the door frame slightly. Please tweak it and customize it to your body and this moment. If it feels enjoyable for you, you can also drop your head to one side. And let's move on to the other side of our body. So we'll start off with a single side for the goalpost arms. And staggering my feet again so I can choose how far I want to lean into it. Thinking about my right shoulder pulling back as I lean into the stretch for my left shoulder here. As I'm in this position, I'm still dropping the shoulder, my left shoulder away from my ear. I'm also thinking about the position of my back. So if I'm leaning into this stretch and I'm getting a really big arch in my back, that might not feel great. So try to maintain a neutral spine throughout your back as you lean into this stretch. Aim to keep breathing and keep enjoying. If you're not enjoying, how can you adjust it so that you are? One more deep breath here. Sinking into the stretch a little bit more, like you're melting into it, and it feels awesome. And then backing out, doing our little wiggle shake that we talked about, and straightening out the arm. Micro bend is always an option here, but placing the hand really nice and high up on the door frame, keeping the shoulder low and away from your ear as you lean into the stretch, making sure that the other side is staying back. So my right elbow is staying back. Checking in with your armpit if you aren't way ahead of me here, and spiraling it so that the armpit faces forward. Taking time to notice if this side feels different than the other side. If you adjusted to stand closer to the door frame, maybe that would feel good on this side as well. And let's come out of this position. We will bring our hand down low again. So holding onto the door frame, getting ready to lean into this position and thinking about a nice open lifted chest here. Thinking about if you like to turn to lean away here, get that little extra juicy stretch for your shoulder. Beautiful. Of course, if you would enjoy it, you can drop your head away from that shoulder, the side that we're stretching. You'll feel the stretch in your shoulder, but also a little bit into your pecs, maybe down your bicep. And come on out. Make sure you do some really nice big shoulder rolls after all of that. Wonderful. So we're actually going to put both hands on the doorway again, reaching up high, but also taking a step back. So I'm no longer standing in the door frame or close behind the door frame. I'm taking a nice step back. I'm placing my hands on either side of the door frame, and then I'm going to hinge at my hips to lean forward. Still keeping armpits forward here. Still keeping my chest open, but enjoying a nice deep stretch, not only through my arms and shoulders and armpits, but through the entire front of my chest as well. If you want to look up at the ceiling and open up your throat, that is an option here as well. Feel free to play and tweak the positioning here. You might enjoy dropping your hands down a little bit more, stepping your feet back a little bit more, or the opposite. Think about opening up through your chest using your breath. Every time you inhale, opening up those ribs just a little bit more. And come on out, round through your back. Take a little counter stretch here. Wonderful. We'll bring the hands down to our sides here. And we're actually going to do a cross body stretch. So stretching out the rear delts and the muscles across your upper back. I'm going to hold on to the doorway here. And I'm just going to lean across, really stretching the rear delts, the muscles all across my upper back. If I want to round a little bit, I can. I could bring the shoulder up a little bit, down a little bit, finding those tight spots. Wonderful. Now my doorway has a nice little lip on the edge of it here. Yours might not. So if that's the case for you, you might be leaning out into the side of your room here, inside your room. Maybe you're leaning outside your front door. I'm not here to judge. But use the doorway how it works for you. It might be slightly different than it works for me just because of the shape of your doorway. Don't let that stop you. So I'm going to reach again and do the rear delts on this arm. Again, just enjoying that glorious stretch with my arm going across my body. Sometimes we hold on to the arm. This just gives us a slightly different option because we can pull a little bit as well. Now, being gentle and kind as you pull, but enjoying the sensation. And while we're here, we can play with the angle of the shoulder, bringing it up, bringing it down, leaning into it. You can see I have my leg out here to support me, so I get to choose exactly how far I lean into this. I could also have my arm going around the back of the doorway. That's going to feel slightly different. Taking one more deep breath here. And coming on out. Roll out those shoulders. We've got another treat for you. We're going to do a little bit of a side lean next. So I'm going to hold on to my doorway. Again, if your doorway doesn't have that lip, you might be leaning your body out. But in my case, I'm going to place my feet against the doorway, going to have my hands holding onto the lip of the doorway because this will be much easier for you to see. And then I'll lean my hips and the whole side of my body, the left side of my body, all the way out here. Now I do have my body still between two imaginary panes of glass, keeping my shoulders square to the wall in front of me and the wall behind me, and the same with my hips. I'm not collapsing inward. I'm getting that lateral bend here all through my side. Should feel fantastic. If you're concerned about your grip strength, you could totally have one leg come out and support you a little bit more. Beautiful. I'm going to head over to the other side. And from here, just leaning my body out, enjoying the sensations of stretching. Adjusting, making sure you're not collapsing in, you're staying as square as you can be. Supporting yourself with your leg as needed. And breathing, always breathing. Wonderful. Come on up. Give your shoulders one last wonderful roll. Take a deep breath, and you are ready to get on with the rest